Aztlan
Yeah.
Natives
Are we on?
podcast. What's up, Zero?
Yeah. Mondo. I got my good friend here.
This is going to be a good show.
Absolutely. He's a business partner of mine. And I'm not going to say his name.
Call
I'm
me
not
the
even going to
hidden
tell
man.
you. Should we even tell him the company? We'll see as the show goes on. But today's a very special episode because the community of Los Aztlan needs to be up to date with everything that's happening in, whether it be politics, whether it be medical tyranny, whether it be the pointing out of white supremacy, an economic base is what we always struggled with when we were in the struggle. And there's this new version of economy that's developing in the world called NFTs. And my good friend, my very good friend, is going to come on LA Natives, and we're going to discuss it and have a chat with everyone out there about this topic. So,
I mean, it's just something that's, they call it is the biggest transfer of wealth.
there you go.
And so,
Yeah. So tell us what you know about it. Tell us like, how did you get involved with it? Because you're an NFT holder, right?
right, yeah, definitely. I mean, it just started early, like I would say in May of this year, and of last year. So 2021 May, and it was just sheer coincidence. Just started. I attended this event, and I was like the fly in the room, just standing out. Like I had no idea what was going on, and I was like, man, what is this? And just having this brain of like always researching and knowing, trying to understand what I'm doing and where I'm at. That kind of just I opened that rabbit hole and went deep in it. And the thing that kind of just amazed me was how how this whole system worked, like how this whole economy was working. It's still it was so foreign. It was so foreign and so confusing, but at the same time, as I got deeper, I started just kind of just clearing out the confusion and started seeing what they were.
Right.
And of course you see all these influencers on Instagram. You see the success stories of like little teenagers making $1,000 in a day, and but at the end of the day, what I kind of gravitated to was the understanding that it was bigger than just making money. You know what I mean? Because it is making money. You're gonna make money if you're in the NFT community for dedicating yourself to it. You're gonna make money. You're destined to make money. But the thing that kind of blew my mind was how these, like I mentioned, it's not just NFTs, but like crypto and all that. It's really like the largest transfer of wealth. Before this wealth that we talked about, it's always in the hands of a few.
Right.
And so now it's like there was a moment of like clarity where it's like, bro, like this transfer of wealth is in the hands of a decentralized economy. And that was powerful when I realized that, because for X and eons, we've always had bankers. We've always had.
You always had to deposit a
We've
check.
always had to deposit checks. You always, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so,
Well, pretty much, guys, since I was born, we've always had to exchange fiat currency with the same faces on it, right, Zero?
Yeah. Well,
And who are these faces?
look, when the faces on the dollar bill, Masonic slave owners, that's who it was. And this country, who were taught by Moors, let's keep it real.
right.
They didn't just teach themselves. They think they're trying to take credit for shit that they thought they erased, but the truth is the truth. This is what I see, and it's, tell me if I'm on the right track with this. And so the audience, I have a knack of trying to, make a metaphor so that people can understand it, right? And the way you see when you have dollar bills or fiat currency, you can't just one day go, hey, you know what? I'm going to print this certain paper and it's going to be worth something to only us right here, right?
Right.
You just couldn't do that because you couldn't deposit it into a bank. You couldn't switch it. And that's the difference between NFT is that when you use your Ethereum to grab the NFT, you're using real money. That's in a different number sequence. It's in a different, it's a whole different universe.
Right. I think the best way to kind of clarify what an NFT is it's just basically you're buying, again, we live in a capitalist society, but, before this capitalist society was controlled by the wealthy bankers. It was controlled by fucking inside traders. It was controlled by, the Banks of Americas, the Wells Fargos, the Apples, the Microsoft, all these, and again, like, I think the main power of NFTs and crypto is that it's a decentralized economy. And so, we talked always like just growing up on this tip of like conspiracy theories and shit like that. It's like the New World Order, they're going to create one coin. They're going to do all this. And, fucking Bitcoin was created in 2019. And I use this analogy. It's like no matter how big the world's trying to control itself, you can't control a dude in the basement with an idea and then just creating something that's going to, like a virus.
You can't create, you can't control creativity.
And guys, we have a few audience members that have no idea what an NFT is. So according to Google, it says an NFT are crypto assets that record the ownership of a digital file, such as an image, video, or text. That's pretty much how it sums it up.
Okay. Now, that's the skeleton of it.
That's the technical...
that's the skeleton of it.
Yes.
Now, attach fiat currency to it, attach cryptocurrency to it, then attach a universe that this NFT developer or company creates. And there's the value, right?
Right.
Does that sound right?
It's pretty accurate. I'm on social media and shit like that, so I understand, like, I guess the criticisms that NFTs get or crypto gets, and it's a natural instinct to always doubt something that's unknown. And so the more you get to understand something, the more you start realizing, man, this is actually not what I thought it was. And so, for example, there was a tweet, somebody famous made it. I forgot who, but it was like, They basically shitted on NFTs, saying like it's not valuable, but he said the real value is in books, right? Like they're banning American revolutionary books. And that to me was like, man, if this person really knew what the power of this type of system would do, it's like, even if the government is trying to ban books, but you upload this, even if you can PDF file a book and put it on internet and Google Drive and fucking you save it on your email and you put it out on the website. That's still controlled by a server. It's controlled by companies like ICANN, which is basically a monopolized. It monopolizes all web domains. So, no matter if you're using your own personal website or whatever. The government or whatever, they have to go through this company called ICANN. And so ICANN is a centralized internet. And so, no matter if you put revolutionary literature out, it can, if it's on that platform, it can still be shut down. It can be canceled out. But if you put it on the blockchain, if you put critical thinking analysis, like books and stuff like that on the blockchain, it'll never be able to get banned. So it's like our concern, that comment was like, oh, they're banning American literature. But if you put it into an NFT form, that book will never be banned. It'd be existing it just be existing forever. As long as this whole system is alive, like the thing is that the main power is that it's decentralized. And again, I think I'm gonna keep re-emphasizing that point over and over because that's truly where the power is behind it, because it's a decentralized economy, a decentralized community, it's decentralized everything. And like growing up, we've always thought like, damn, like I was super like anarchist or like fuck the system or all these things. And at essence, all those people didn't want to be controlled. They didn't want to be centralized. And so now you have a actual tangible tool that can decentralize everything, and people are knocking it because they don't understand it. And so the value is given not by the person who created it, but by the community. You know, again, it's like, who values diamonds? You know what I mean? Like, it just goes back to the value is given to by the person who purchases it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to say, is that the creativity is driving this community to be participating in whatever those developers develop. It's not just a squiggly little caricature on a digital, JPEG or whatever it is that it comes on. There's messages within it, right? There's certain backgrounds that are created. So they're rare, and it also includes you into a community that all agrees that it's rare.
Right.
Kind of like we all agree that $20 bills will buy us dinner. All of us, whoever, we walked into any room, any house, any restaurant, any hotel, and we put $20 on the table, and we said, give me French fries and a hamburger, or French fries and a garden burger, or whatever it is. They're going to give it to you, because we all agree that paper that was printed by the Federal Reserve has that $20 value. But in the NFT world, we go, no, this caricature to all of us right here is worth this.
Right. So,
and you control the value.
Can I compare this to like the East LA lowrider community? Like, you know how it's not a big community, but it's somewhat of a smaller community because not a lot of people are into it. But if you are into it, there's already value in those cars.
Yeah.
Especially in East LA, the ones that bounce and the old school bombers and stuff like that. I see them like every Friday, Saturday nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
It's like being a part of a club is a part of it. Is a part
kind
of
of like a club.
But
it is. And the simplest way is like people, like if you're a collector of anything, whether you collect stones or you collect seashells or you collect
cars,
fucking cars or Pokemon cards or whatever, if you hold on to those, like the only thing that doesn't appreciate value is your dollar, basically. You know what I mean? If you hold on to $100, that $100 in 10 years, it's not going to be worth $100. It's going to be worth either $70, $80, even $90. It can lose $1. So that $100, it'll never be a value.
Well, I want to ask you guys a question. Like, don't you need fiat currency to buy crypto or to buy NFTs? Ultimately, right? So
no, yeah, for sure.
It is, but
it's almost like the gateway. Like, you need. It's almost like you need a key to open the door. You know what I mean? And so the fiat is that key to open that door. But what's behind that door?
The whole goal is to eventually transition to crypto completely.
Right.
Well,
for some,
because
there's still so much resistance. Like it's never going to be a mass adoption of that because it's they hate what they can't control. You know what I mean?
Well, I do believe there's going to be a mass adoption because wasn't there a country, I don't know, was it Cuba or Puerto Rico or Salvador that now accepts
Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Right. As their national currency.
As a currency, you could buy cars with it. You could buy a house with it.
That's all fiat currency is. Fiat currency is saying, or is the world saying the U.S. has the power to print money based on how much oil they own, the petrodollar, right? It's like they're all agreeing in China, in Australia, in Mexico. Everybody's like, oh yeah, well, I'll take dollars over here. It'll be worth money. We're all agreeing that the dollar, because they made that announcement, is worth that. That's the same thing that happened with Bitcoin. Is that someone went, look, we're going to give away this coin for 10 cents. Oh, well, I'll get $1 worth of it. And then all of a sudden, there's no more. And so then, but the other guy still wants some. And so then, well, I'll pay $2 for it.
Right.
And there you go. Boom, boom. And that's the beauty of creativity. Because, yes, fiat currency is necessary to buy the NFT. But no one is making 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 people put $5,000 on this particular NFT because that whole group is going, this is worth that money. That makes sense?
I think, you know, the understanding that I guess I have more so, it's like, take Bitcoin, for example. It's like everything here has insurance, right? Like your car has insurance, your house has insurance, we have medical insurance. And so what El Salvador is doing, it's buying insurance for its currency because they know that the only way, you know, like I think the US had like, it's like $3.5 trillion debt, right? Or something like that. And the only way to pay that debt is to devalue the money. Because if $3.5 trillion is their debt that they have, the only way they can pay that $3.5 trillion is to make that dollar less. Because then instead of paying $3.5 trillion, if they devalue the dollar, then they're only paying 50 cents, for that dollar. And so it's like it's inevitable for the dollar to be devalued. It has to, in order for them to pay this massive debt. And so what the Bitcoin adopters are thinking or seeing is that it's basically, you know, like in the 2008 market crash. Like the reason that, I don't know if somebody's seen that movie called The Big Short. I mean, that was very insightful because that was the market crash in 2008 of the housing crisis. And now we're going into a dollar crash of the dollar crisis. And so those who have that foresight know that Bitcoin is going to be that insurance for that dollar because you're using that dollar to buy insurance. So it's like, that's why El Salvador, like they're comparing it in 10 years from now, it's going to be like, I don't know if you folks are familiar, but like banking European countries like Luxembourg, you know, it's a tiny ass country in Europe, but they're like GDP and like their whole production and like their everything that they have far exceeds the amount of people that are there. And so they're comparing this third world country to be a first world country because of that move. And so now you have the IMF telling El Salvador, hey, like you got to cut it out. Like it's not gonna work out for y'all. You know what I mean? And so that's
the IMF is telling El Salvador, don't fuck up our fiat lie.
Right.
Because
that's exactly what it's saying.
They're saying, hey, when you do this, you're saying that our dollar is worth less, and it's not really even like we can start trading with this. Uh-huh. So then when people go to El Salvador, oh, let me buy a few Bitcoins. I'm there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
that's dope.
It's an interesting time. It's an interesting time. Look, I'm gonna compare it to this, and you tell me if I'm off. Back in the day, and Armando, you should relate to this. Back in the day, when Apple launched iTunes, and you can download an album, right? Record labels went, wow, there's this crazy little window that's gonna close. It's gonna close, but there's this crazy little window where we can upload digital sound and don't have to press a CD. We don't have to manufacture. We don't have to deliver. We don't have to store. And we can sell it for the same amount of money that it cost for the physical item. There was that small window of time. And so Coldplay releases their album, and they do this massive promotion on Apple about how their album's going to be only available on iTunes, and they sold 384 million copies.
It's ridiculous.
Of what?
Right.
Of some digital sounds, zeros, and they broke every single record. Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. You know, it was the little window of time. And what I'm trying to say is that there's this little window of time where cryptocurrency is going to be like giving away or opportunities to make large amounts of fiat currency, right? Because it takes fiat currency. That's the belief that it's valuable because you're putting this petrodollar. But as soon as somebody of the economic forum says, hey, you know what? We're going with Russia and China's gold standard. And so no more petrodollar.
I mean, that's a perfect example because, like, take that whole Middle Eastern, that they call it the spring. I forgot the Spring Revolution, where it was like Tunisia, it was Libya, it was Syria, it was like all those northern Eastern African countries, like Muammar Gaddafi.
Yeah. That's why they murdered him.
Because the years prior to that being led, to that revolution, was Muammar Gaddafi was basically created an African Union saying like, look, we're not going to accept a petrodollar anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to back our economies by our natural resources. And they equated to like, I think, actually Syria it was a small country in Africa was going to have a higher GDP than UK, than England. And so if they were going to back their economies with their natural resources, and then the third world country was suddenly just going to jump to having a higher GDP than England, like for sure they had to stop it. And so then they went in there and destabilized
everything.
Syria, all those countries that were unifying Africa.
Yeah.
And now
give a global community a different idea of value.
Right.
Again, because they're going, look, you're believing the Americans, and they have a building called the Federal Reserve that just prints the shit out. We don't even know. No one's auditing them. No one's questioning them. But people in Mexico go, well, that's the petrodollar and it's worth something. It's an idea. And so China's challenging that idea of the petrodollar. Muammar Gaddafi and all the African countries challenged that idea. So my point of this small window happening is that there's a small window where a group of 40,000 like-minded individuals can invest in one idea of developers, not only to get a digital art that has and holds value, but is a part of a community. Now that's the creative part. It's like if I go, here's $100, Aurelio, and with this $100 you're going to learn how to do this, right? Just by holding the $100, you're going to learn how to, I don't know, fix cars, cook, vegan food. Here, if you hold this $100, you can learn how to do those things, and it's worth $100. So that's what this community in NFT world is starting to create. And so when you have enough people that have an idea of value, then you can switch out the value of something else, and then not only that holds value. You dig?
Right. I feel like the understanding that people have is only what we are been exposed to, So it's like stepping into these realms of NFTs and crypto.
It's a very dangerous environment. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
You guys always mention these popular ones that influencers promote on Instagram and Facebook.
Look, people get
I
wrecked.
see those very. I could consider that those get rich quick schemes, where it's bait and switch,
right?
Or they're out to get you, right, Zero?
Yeah.
There's
always
gonna
gonna
wreck
be
for you, right? People get wrecked. I mean, I got wrecked when I stepped in, bro. I got wrecked. I was like, damn, like. I lost thousands of dollars investing in some shit NFTs,
investing to essentially nothing you could hold in your hand.
Right. It was just literally like a JPEG. That's all. And so it's like it's super risky, right? But at the end of the tunnel, like after I got wrecked and I lost thousands of dollars, I was like, man, like I still saw the opportunity. Like it's still there. Just because I didn't know, that's why I got wrecked. But if I knew if somebody was like showed me the ropes going in, it would have been a different story. But I'm self-taught, so I was like,
dude, that's no
so
different.
Are you?
But that's no different. That's no different than a young kid getting his first job, and the first thing he does is go to a fucking car dealer and buy a car.
Right.
He just got wrecked.
You just get wrecked, man.
Because he's gonna be paying hundreds of dollars for a car that's going to depreciate
and I was that
value.
Kid, Zero, and at 18, as soon as I got out of high school, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just like, parents, I want to get a car. Take me to the dealer. I could care less about the total price.
Yeah.
I was thinking, can I afford that monthly payment?
Yeah. And just
And
give
it's
it
a
away.
mind fuck.
Yeah. Give it away. It's the same thing.
And then the car lost its value by like 50%. And I'm just sitting there like, wow.
But this is what I love about the NFT world is that, one, there's a community that'll say, hey, man, you lost something. Hey, but try doing it this way next time. And keep a lookout. Why don't you look at for wallets, man? You should be looking at wallets. And that's the kind of exchange that you talk about, right?
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, man, it really is like, like coming from growing up with like this consciousness level and indigenous approach to living and community. It's like it's inevitable. Like we can't go back to the past. But like once I stepped into this digital form of life, it's like, bro, like nobody's looked out for me like that in real life. Like nobody's, unless they're my tribe, unless they're my family or like really good friends. But I've never had strangers be like, bro, fucking here, look at this.
Yeah.
And then don't go in there. Don't look at that. Like,
right.
Like it really felt like the community, maybe because it's so small still. Mm-hmm. Of course, you have bad players who are there to scam you like sharks, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But once you find the solid community, bro, you're guaranteed to like, bro, you know what I mean? And so it's like it's crazy that like it just showed like you have people from China, people from France, people from Venezuela, people from fucking Brazil, you have people from England.
Well,
like
when I
all
got
with this hive mentality, you know what I mean? And so it's a reflection of like these natural instincts that we have as human beings, but in order for us to really connect was only in that platform. And so it really came to be like, man, like this community sense, sadly has to be, it's being exercised, the community that we always talk about, like indigenous communities and stuff like that, for sure. But
it's the modern version.
It's the modern version.
I think it's the modern version of like-minded ideas that bring value. People don't understand. The economy of the past was not a trading economy. They traded, but it was based on the value of what they were trading. You know what I mean? Like, if I brought to you a big old bag of spirulina, you knew that would keep you, your family alive and healthy for 4 months. Mm-hmm. That's a value.
Right.
In a jungle, in a desert, in an environment where you don't have that kind of sustenance, and someone just brought to you, you didn't have to go harvest it or create an environment for it to grow. You didn't have to take care of it. Someone just brought it to you and said, here, you don't have to do anything for 4 months in terms of this particular, that's value. Cacao.
It's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you know what I mean? And so it's like,
what I'm pointing out, though, is the benefit of what you're trading. Like spirulina is a green algae that tastes really bad, but if you eat it, the value is I don't have to eat every 5 minutes. I have energy all day, and I get to live I'm a little bit faster. I'm a little bit, I think a little bit better. That's a value. You understand? And that's where I feel like NFTs create some of these NFT communities and developers create this value. It's not the NFT is a part of it, but it's not the entire.
And the thing is, it's not that the creators nor the developers, they're not the ones placing the value in it.
No, it's the community.
It's the community.
Yes.
Like the developers will just put an entry fee, which a lot of times is super cheap, but then the rest is all community based. Right. And so,
because they decide what the value is.
Right.
Because they go, oh man.
But at the same time, it's a reciprocal relationship, because you're not just going to value something that doesn't give anything in return. And so everything, it has its checks and balances. So it's not like, you have people who just buy NFTs, but then those projects don't do anything for them. Then, that lose value. Mm-hmm. Like there's no value in that.
Exactly.
And so, like the main purpose, I feel like, of this new movement is not necessarily an entry price or a quick rich scheme or all these other things. It's really, again, it's the benefits that people who have that are gonna get. You know, it's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and so it's mutual aid. You know what I mean? It's really like in essence, this is a hive mind mutual aid economy. You know what I mean? Where it's like we all have the same focus, but you take care of me, I'll take care of you. And in corporate America, in a capitalist society, it's like I'm only going to take care of myself, you know, and the companies are not going to look out for you, you know. But again, it's a new evolution of how things are going to be dealt with. And so I think our boy here had a question, man.
Excuse me?
You had a question?
Can't really
did you
recall.
Were you gonna
maybe
say
I
something?
forgot. No. Go ahead.
Okay. We interrupted him. My bad.
Well, look, the way I see it, what got me into NFTs and just even researching it and kind of getting into it, I didn't understand. I saw this little like Vice thing on it, and then, but during that Vice segment, I saw like people from third world countries who were dirt poor graphic designers. All of a sudden now they're doing good.
Right.
Now they have a team of graphic designers with them, and they're all kind of making these new NFTs, and they're in Mexico City, and they're in India, and they're in these places that are very, very poor, right? And so it interests me like how art was being used as like fiat currency in a sense. You know, like these digital images hold the value of fiat. They have fiat currency attached to them.
Right. It's attached to it.
Right. But it's not the $20 bill, because they have to combine, let's say 50 of them just to buy that NFT. Right. Now the NFT took those $50 bills and pretty much burned them. And now this thing is worth it. And now you could trade it for other people's. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's a cool concept, man. Like using art as value to get benefits, to be a part of a community. You know what I mean?
No, and see, the thing is, like, it's still unbelievable because you have people who just by holding an NFT are making $300K a year. And that's just passive income. Like, you know, I invested in the project that was giving me $1,000 a week just for holding it. You know what I mean? And so those projects are like, they're called unicorns because you know, again, it's almost like in the early 90s when like the internet companies started, you know, Yahoo, fucking Earthlink, AOL, you know, like that whole .com boom, only like 2%, 3% made it. And so it's like the same
AOL's
thing
gone.
Right, AOL's gone. Even
Yahoo's
a little
almost
bit
gone.
irrelevant, you know what I mean? But it's only like 2 or 3% that's gonna make it. And so like
eBay's totally gone.
Right.
Like,
you know, Amazon took it out.
Yeah.
And so it's like the same thing with this. And so NFTs, it's like you're getting flooded with so much that people are just gonna hop in thinking like, damn, I'm gonna get quick rich, you know what I mean? But in reality, it's like 95% of those projects that are out today are gonna fail. And so the thing is, again, going back to this community, if you invest in the community, if you invest in the vision, and if you invest in like the team that's creating it, like those three things are really the driving force behind a successful project. And so it's like, you know, people get hyped up and they want to put in because they see I don't know, Kanye or Kim Kardashian or somebody famous, Justin Bieber, whatever, like all these fucking A celebrities, like they see them putting in money, and for them it's like a scratch, you know what I mean? Like it's like plucking out a hair, but for somebody in the hood, it's like, damn, that's $1,000.
Yeah, it's like
you
half
know,
your
that's
rent.
like that's half a rent. Yeah. And so that's a recipe for
Disaster.
failure. Yeah, for disasters, because then like that's how I hopped in, you know what I mean? Like with that mentality, like fuck it, man, I'm about to make money. I have to, like, you know, but I got wrecked. But, you know, being a business owner, like I had to really just step away and apply that like
business
sense to it.
Well, there's a term for that. It's called FOMO.
FOMO,
right? Fear of missing out.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what drives, like,
And it's already too late if it gets to that point.
right. Like the thing is with FOMO, it's like it's so interesting because unlike crypto,
It's a disease.
right? Unlike crypto or stocks, where people are sitting down and watching like fucking the charts and, oh shit, I got to make a trade now, or I got to really, like, from my understanding, I'm not an expert or anything, from just being in this space, like it's a completely different evaluation because you're buying into people's emotions. You're buying into people's, like, you don't have to be this like Wall Street savvy guy to be able to trade an NFT. Like, you got to really just have real common sense, like, where you see things in a different manner, because there's no technical aspects attached to it, like watching charts on Wall Street or watching charts on crypto. It's like if you have a beat on what's going on the sentiment that's going on in the community, if you have a sentiment on what's being talked about on that project, you're able to make more of an educated investment decision on that. Which is weird because. Mm-hmm.
So you're saying you would rather invest into digital art rather than investing in speculation, because that's all it is, right? In the stock market,
right?
It's speculation on how that company is gonna be positioned down the line. Isn't that such a fraud?
No, it's crazy because it's a coin flip. You know what I mean? And so the thing I think everything's a coin flip, especially like any investment. Like, you're always gonna have the risk of going and getting rugged or getting wrecked and losing money. But the benefit to NFTs is that you can assess. All of us are glued to Instagram already. Like, we're all on Instagram. We can see what's going on, and that's basically, it's like NFT is like.
But you're not seeing it as investing in an NFT similar to, you're investing in speculation because you're hoping it's going to raise in value down the line.
Right.
But at least you have something digital that's minted, and you could prove that it's yours.
And see, like, I think what I've learned is, like,
and it's also on a blockchain, and it's also like, well, the transactions aren't really private, right?
No, the transactions are open, public domain. Yeah. And so another thing that's, I guess, another incentive is that,
well, the blockchain protects you from knowing who owns it, right?
Well,
the stock market, like Zero, in the stock market, you're basically betting on a boardroom. It's disgusting, right? Zero? Like, any company out there that's trading in the stock market, you would think you would want to know who is on that board, on that executive chair. Like, who's that greedy bastard that's killing everyone just for the greed and to enrich others? NFTs have nothing to do with that, right?
Well, they're kind of like that, because you're investing in, for some NFTs, you're investing in the perks that come with that NFT, right? So you're going, it's kind of like Steve Jobs going, look, I'm going to build this Apple computer. If you all give me $100, it'll help me build this Apple computer. And then everybody gets an Apple computer once. And
that's basically what it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, and then the interesting fact is that someone's right here in the comments saying, like, people should invest in clean water, right? And so another aspect of NFTs that doesn't really get talked about is, like, because the people that are making NFTs aren't conglomerates. They're not Walmarts. They're not fucking Nikes. They're not corporate America. They're folks like you and me.
Yeah.
They're folks that are, like, also have some type of moral, ethical approaches to living their life. And so a lot of them, like, from all, and it's all always stated, it's like transparency is a must. Like, if anything is sketchy, like, people will dump it and then that project fails. But they always attach a cost to it. Like, some people, like, if it's a theme of animals, then they a percentage of that goes to protecting, I don't know, like, there was an NFT that protected tigers because their character was a tiger. Another one was like a fish, and so they a percentage of it goes to cleaning the oceans. Another one was a tree, and then the percentage of it goes to like the reforesting the trees and planting trees. So there's causes behind these NFTs, and so that's also people that are really about it, like they want to buy those projects,
right? Because they want to go, oh yeah, I want to save the rainforest, or I want to do whatever whatever that's. See, so if I'm listening to the comments, right, and someone's all like, well, instead of doing NFTs, why don't we invest in clean water, right? But then why don't you invest, like, what if an NFT company is wise enough to hear its community and go, hey, you know what, bro, we have like 2 mil. Remember that dude that we met who can extract water from the atmosphere and we can pull it from the atmosphere? Let's buy one of those things and put it in a place where they need it.
And that's the thing, that's how that economy is really functioning at the moment. It's like the people who in the community are and then there's the need, like the way that the NFT communities are working, it's not the developers or the guys on the top are making decisions. They have the vision and then they present the options, but then the community is the one that's saying, no, we want to do this, or no, maybe we allocate our funds to this. And so now, not only are you not like, now you're part of something that has wealth to make changes, and so far, like, because of the direction and the people involved in these communities aren't necessarily, you can say, people from our communities. Of course they're gonna have different causes that aren't necessarily looking out for the benefits of our people, But if you apply the same concepts that are being used right now, and we attach that and give it our meaning, it's just another tool for us to progress our communities. It's not just going to be like, yeah, people. It's like the best word. It's like you can have it all, really. Like in the sense of like you can invest in this, and now these funds are going to be allocated to the community, and ideally, like when people do that and they donate to the Red Cross, you don't know where that's just going to go.
Right.
You donate to the Blue Cross, you don't know where it's going to go. You donate to World Vision, you don't know what. But the thing with this is because all these transactions are on the blockchain, like anybody who just takes a minute or two can see like, yo, like these dudes aren't saying what they're doing, and then they can expose you and be like, well, you said you had, $10,000 and it shows like, you can see every transaction. So it's like, it self-regulates itself. Of course you have sketchy people who will still go ahead and do the crime and then basically just turn off all their servers and like, fuck it, now we're millionaires. But then you have real people who are about it, that because everything is so transparent, like there's no, like you can't do backdoor deals, where it's like, because everything is on the blockchain, you can see where everything is at.
It's kind of like if Nike, if everybody, what really fucked up Nike is that everybody was exposed to their horrendous labor to make the Nike and what the markup was. And so if they were an NFT and someone found out that they were paying little kids sweatshops and no breaks and people were fucking throwing themselves out of buildings because they work like fucking 18 hours a day.
Drop their stock.
Done.
Right.
No more NFT Nike.
Right.
Gone.
It's gone.
No more Nikes, period.
No more Nikes. And so that, it happens all the time now. It's like.
Or if they found out that Coca-Cola was stealing water from indigenous communities of the Amazon and, pregnant women are dying of, dehydration and all this bad stuff that Coca-Cola is doing. If they were an NFT, they'd be done.
They'd be done.
Because it'd be transparent.
Because it's transparent. Like you can't really lie. Because then you have somebody who's tech savvy. All he has to do is right click and open it up and see, like, man, these guys are,
These guys are scamming people.
Like, these guys are scamming people. And then they let it out and then the whole community will just dump your project. And so it self-regulates itself. And that's another aspect, And so like successful projects, in order for them to succeed, have to be completely transparent. Because if there's anything sketchy, it just creates doubt. And in corporate America, sketchiness makes you a millionaire. You know what I mean? But here is the opposite. Transparency is going to make you a successful person.
Right. Because you create, the job of the NFT developer is to listen to the community and its needs and whatever that developer is creating, right? That creativity is put to a digital art, which gives you sometimes a pass or some sort of a minted version of this piece of art. So it's, like I said, it's like printing your own $100 bill. And then everybody's gonna go, well,
Exactly.
okay, I'm down with that $100 bill because that $100 bill donates water to the rainforest. So it's really a $90 bill, but because $10 I know for sure goes to the rainforest.
Right.
And everybody believes in that, and they give of that belief, and they become a community, and that community starts to swirl. And then the developer goes, hey, you know what? I'm gonna offer this now for the community that's been so loyal to us. We're gonna do this now. And it comes with this new art piece.
Right. I think one of the main obstacles, even for me, was to disassociate ourselves, or even disassociate myself from this thinking that everything is controlled. You know what I mean? Like everything is controlled. Like, for example, if I don't know, like take for example, like say you invest in the NFT community. That NFT community is only as strong as the actual community and its supporters. And so it's not that it's being funded by a third party. It's not being funded by, hedge funds or venture capitalists or Wall Street, unless you, of course, you get to a point, then you might have those opportunities come up and you make the decision. But the startups are really like, they're decentralized autonomous organizations. And so it's like,
whoa, that's a good way to explain it. I like that.
And so like, that's so powerful because, we've always attached money to being centralized. But this is the first time in my experience that like to make money and be decentralized and have an organization that supports you, it's like, that's powerful.
Like imagine an NFT company getting so popular that their NFTs are worth so much, and they all like, and these guys are like revolutionary thinkers. They're like fuck the system kind of guys, right? And they all go, hey, we're gonna be in the middle of Watts, and we're gonna give a free NFT to anybody who can we're gonna airdrop anybody an NFT in this community. Boom. And then all of a sudden, people who are in a poor community now have people in the NFT world going, I'll buy that from you for $5,000.
Right.
And now this person in Watts who probably needed to have rent paid, and they had value for a little bit, but said, hey, this guy wants more value to it because he likes the Rockstar developers and he wants to own all that Rockstar developer community, right? Because if you buy one of those NFTs from that community, then we're going to invite you to this exclusive party, right? You need that NFT to go. Now, the poor person can go with it.
Right.
Or he could sell it to somebody who really wants to go to it. And that's a way of just giving money to a community through an NFT project.
Yeah, I think there was this artist who put out an album on an NFT. I forgot his name. And he sold it for $100, but his album, like, it was his followers, and his followers were, they weren't wealthy individuals, and they bought these copies of his album, and they were selling them later down the line for $10,000, $20,000, and so, you know what I mean? It's like
he gave his fans
money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's
through
another
his value.
tool, through his value. And so that's another, like, social equity is so important in our communities. That's the reason that we've been, suppressed for so long, is that, not only do we know we don't have access to, knowledge, or we don't have access to resources, which keeps us limited, But if an actual community with good intentions are really creating these projects, like you're literally giving people $10,000, $20,000 behind your vision.
Yes.
And so it's like, exactly. Like, I just read a comment. Like, imagine politicians, like, you know, like if everything was transparent. Like, what is this saying? It says if it's like kind of like paying taxes. You know, like if you knew where your money was going, the politicians wouldn't be able to lie.
Right.
Now look, Zero, this is
If taxes were an NFT and was on a blockchain, we would be able to see, wait a minute, you didn't fucking give $3 trillion to the fucking water company. You fucking pocketed that. You gave it to that dude over there.
You know exactly where it's going.
So, but see, I like this NFT world, and to be honest with you, LA natives, we're developing one.
It caters to artists, to be honest with you, because like here's an interesting feature that you as an artist, Zero, if you release an NFT, you could program in royalties. So you'll receive a percentage of sales whenever your art is sold to a new owner. Now, record labels would never allow you to do that.
No, because record labels wanted 90%, and you
Apple,
had to split 10%.
Apple iTunes, you buy the digital copy, someone else could sell it, you get no royalties.
Nope.
So with NFTs, you could program all that in there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, look, say for instance, I put out a NFT 4-song EP, right? And I value it at $2, and I made 10,000 of them. There's going to be somebody else that goes, you know what? I'm going to pay you $40 for that.
Right.
You know, and then there's going to be someone else later on in the years going, I'm going to pay you $1,000 from that, but it's going to go back to that original owner. The royalties for each sale is going to go back to the original owner, not to me. It's going to go back to the original owner of the NFT. The NFT, the first purchase of the NFT allowed me to put the album out. That's all I wanted. All I wanted was the money to put the album out. But now this rare piece of art is now someone else in Germany goes, I want it for $10,000. I'll give you $10,000 for that. Mm-hmm. And now all of other people are going to want to go, well, I'll give you $10,000. Mm-hmm. And some rich conglomerate, dude wants to be cool hipster. Oh, I want to own that particular.
But this article says as it's getting exchanged from owner to owner,
that's
the original artist that created it gets a small royalty as well.
Right.
For life.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And so
it's kind of like a royalty that gives back to your audience.
Well, it depends. Like for example, the way the royalties work is like it's in the contract, right? It's in the code. Like, I don't know, you want 5% for creator fees, 5% royalty fees. And so then that 5% gets attached to every token that you've created. And so that token number one gets sold, then that 5% royalties goes back to the creator. But then that person who held token number one is no longer part of it. Then that other person, is holding it, And so the royalties always go back to the creators. And so the other way that communities benefit is there's actual NFTs that actually give holders a percentage of all their sales as well.
Right, a
so
royalty.
they give, but you have to hold that NFT to get royalties.
You have to keep it.
So there was one that did a deal with Nike, right? And so now all those NFT holders get royalties from any interaction that Nike's having. But before, Nike wouldn't even dare give royalties out to anybody.
Yeah.
Yet alone common folks that hold an asset for them, And so that, those early holders of that NFT now, who knows where that NFT is going to take off. But now those NFT holders are going to get royalties from Nike, before they never did. You know what I mean? And so there's so many ways that these.
But you could build in the contract of your launch, right? Like, say for instance, here's the beauty of the NFT is that you make the board as a developer. You make the board decisions. Mm-hmm. So if I go, I want a royalty to go back to the. I want 2.5% of each sale for whatever amount to go back to the original buyers.
Right.
right?
That's powerful, Zero. It's like a Banksy, right?
Yeah.
Instead of Banksy, putting a mural on the wall and someone just like cuts the wall, right?
Right.
And then they own it.
Yes.
They sell it for 10 million. Banksy
Yes.
gets $0.
Yes. But if I'm a musician and I want to attach my music as a rare form of art, like I'm only printing 10,000 of these, right? And I'm selling them for $2 each, right? The secondary market, I don't have control over it. But we can write in the contract, whatever it's sold for, 2%, 2.5% goes back to the original person who funded my album. They become like shareholders in the album. I could write that in an NFT contract.
Banksy's gonna become a trillionaire if he decides to
This
release
is
his
this
art
is
in NFTs.
this is the beauty of NFTs, LA natives, is that you can create your own reality if like-minded people believe in you,
Right.
right?
And there's already things that are. I mean, they're just ridiculous.
If Banksy came out with an NFT, forget about it, bro.
Like,
This fool's a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire.
Yeah.
like NFTs, like there's this NFT project that bought Banksy art, and they're worth like, I don't know, millions, right? And there's only like 6,000 holders of it. And so now the holders of this NFT now own a Banksy. And so they get a fractional price. So say that they sell it for 20 million. Now the holders get a fractional, amount of that profit. And so it's like, it's so decentralized. And again, I think, for all the LA natives here, like, if anything that you can come out with this whole, segment is that, understanding the concept of a decentralized economy. And that in itself should be a big incentive to know, like, man, this is it's never happened.
And for
the
people
only
that-
time we've had a decentralized economy was maybe back in our indigenous ancestors. Like,
Well, yeah, because
You know what I mean?
you couldn't control how much cacao I had or cacao I grew,
Right.
or what farms I have
Exactly.
ejidos with, and they all contribute to one pot, and we all kind of distribute it out to whoever is gonna, as a unit, that. But when you put art and money together and allow it to be printed like money, right? And the difference between a decentralized system and a centralized system is that no one can print US dollars but US people.
Right.
And that means that everything's centered on their printing presses, on their administration, on their ability to keep the fiat currency going out at a certain pace. That's a centralized system. But when you put art and money and go like Banksy goes, you know what? I'm going to do this little drawing. I'm going to put it on an NFT and I'm just going to give it away. And people I'm not going to take,
nuts.
no, I'm going to take $0 for this.
people will go nuts.
Right. And people will be, I want it for 5,000. I want it for 50,000.
Right. That FOMO,
That's the power that art has. So they fucked up. In my opinion, when you talk about 400 families wanting to rule the world, that means they have to rule all the money. And you can't rule all the money. You'll never rule all the money. You'll never rule the guy in the basement fucking hating his life because his dad went away because he lost his job and fucking blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You can't. That guy's creativity is going to grow a flower and go, I have an idea that I'm going to share with everyone because I want to fuck the system.
Right. And that's interesting because, I think the guy who created fucking Ethereum, this guy was like a straight gamer, right? Like he was like a nerd just playing games. He was playing, I don't know, whatever game was popular, like World War, I don't know, whatever game it was popular.
Yeah.
But
Call
it
of
was
Duty.
Call of Duty. You could call it, but it was centralized. It was based on the server. And he spent years fucking building his character and getting trades and spending money on buying tools and whatever. And then one day, it should just it locked him out. Like he lost it for whatever reason. He lost it, And he said he was super depressed. Like he was like, he couldn't believe it. And he said like, there has to be something that's going to decentralize what just happened. And that's how, like, after that, like he just went on a like 2-year like quest of coding and shit to know like how to decentralize that economy. And so he built his platform so that it be a decentralized platform that you can build on top of his platform, but it's a decentralized platform nonetheless. And so, you know, there's so much that like I feel like, again, like you can't control an idea. You know what I mean? You can't control that.
You can't control somebody's emotional reaction to loss. Like that story you just described, he spent time. He thought that it was a real thing. And someone just said, we're done.
Right.
No, hey, what happened to my thing? I built it for years. Yeah, it's over, dude. It's done.
It's done.
How do you have that much control? I've been doing it for years. We do. That's what the Federal Reserve is.
That's what the central economy is.
Yeah. You know what?
Central projects.
You know what? That's how George Soros can make a phone call to another country and go, you know what? The Russian fucking dollar or whatever they call it, yeah, it's not going to be worth shit. And they're, what the fuck? Sell it.
Right.
George Soros just said, fucking, it's not worth anything. Let's, you know?
Right.
Isn't he like the largest?
Because it's centralized.
George Soros, the same guy who's like the largest donation contributor to the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that fool. That fucking guy.
KPFK too.
Dude, that fool has made phone calls and killed economies in other countries just by what he said.
Yep.
I'm serious. This fucking dude is like, dude, I heard this crazy story about him. He was a Jewish child who would rat out other Jewish families hiding from the Nazis. He'd walk on the street going, I need somewhere to hide. And a door would open and be like, come on, little kid, get him in here.
Boom.
And then, boom, he'd make a phone call. Hey, they're right there. They're hiding right there. I seen them. Yeah, they let me in. He was like an agent. And so the Rothschilds
that succeed.
So then the Rothschild
in
said, "You know what? We're gonna fucking raise this. This guy's valuable.
Right.
He'll rat out his own people like that. Let's fund his ass. We're gonna fund him." And then boom, boom, boom. Now you know he's a billionaire. He's an eccentric billionaire. But everybody has a root somewhere, you know. And so I think this NFT world is this little glimmer or this little opening where people can really control their reality as a community.
Exactly. Right. That's definitely it.
And the developers have to be held responsible. Like, no one holds Steve Jobs responsible if the iPhone was shitty and everybody bought it already, right? What's going to happen is that the people are going to go, hey, you bought that fucking iPhone? That was a piece of trash. I'm never going to buy an iPhone ever, and then never sell another iPhone.
Right.
There's some sort of responsibility to being the head of this NFT developer crew, and it's all connected with creativity and art and how that applies to this system and what it's going through. Mm-hmm. That's the window we're in. That's why I thought it was important that we talk about NFTs on this show.
Right.
It's still very vague because it is very dangerous. Like you said, you have to open up accounts in different, you have to know what you're doing when you fuck with it.
And guys, this is not financial advice
It's not
whatsoever.
financial
No, it's not.
advice.
Absolutely not.
It's
No.
more of it's just a conversation. So, that's why I haven't said go invest here.
But
do your own deep research.
do your research.
But
And
eventually, Zero, we are going to be like, yo, invest in our NFT right here.
well, the difference between our NFT and the NFT you would buy on the market is that you've been listening to this podcast already. You already know what the feel of this podcast is. And you know that there's 4 artistic minds, whether it be musically, whether it be food-wise, whether it be production-wise. You know what this community already has created, without creating a digital platform or a digital currency called an NFT. When we do this, which is in the works, but we're putting a lot of thought into it. And it's going to it has to be really, really refined. Because the ones we have been, us as developers, have been working on, is that the community benefits. The community benefits. We may come up with the creative ideas, present it to that community, and the community is going to benefit somehow, some way. They're going to walk away with something. Experience, plant-based food, high dense nutrition, knowledge. And I'm not talking about like this scratch the surface knowledge. I mean, we're going to follow the Knights Templar and follow their banking strategies until now, so that you can get a full rounded version of what happened and how do we call this bank a bank, right? What is the difference between maritime law and admiralty law? We're going to go into that. How do we challenge our birth certificate? We're going to go into that. That's what you get. That's the world that we're going to create. It's very vague. And then we're going to have these very amazing events. I'm not even going to scratch the surface on that. But the events, they're going to be beneficial to the community that we create. Because the community that we create is everything. It's the only thing that exists. You've given us the opportunity. You will give us the opportunity to bring forth our vision, what we think in our mind and really in our heart. Because we've been resisting for a long time. Years. Since we became conscious in 90, 91. You know, we started fucking really going, how can
Divine Forces Radio.
Yeah. How do we get out of this shit? How do we, the matrix exists, but how do we get out of it? As a community, we get out of it.
And, you know, like, I one of the things is like, you know, just from having that upbringing, it's always like, bro, I always wanted to be a hermit. I always wanted to be out, you know what I mean, like outside the system, like fucking out of like out in the wild, like. But the reality, bro, is like we can't be like that anymore. At least for me, my understanding is that I can't be that. You know what I mean? I can't be what my ancestors were. Like, I can't be like, yeah, I can go live out in the woods, but I can't do it just because that's not my reality. That's, for me personally, that's just wishful thinking, you know? And so I think the resiliency and the evolution and the adaptation is what makes this meaningful. You know what I mean? And so it's like, how can we still evolve? You know, I think you mentioned your story of how, you know, when the Aztecs came, I mean, when the conquerors, cuando llegaron los españoles, the Spaniards, the ancestors, you know, the tribe, the leaders told them that they had to surrender.
Yeah, they had to give the weapons to
They had to give it in. And so it's like, that's the tip that I'm on. Like,
this has to be done. You have to do this.
It has to be done.
There's no way looking back.
Like, you can't look, like, how are you going to bend over for the Spaniards? You know what I mean? But, you know, it's not the physicalness. It's the wisdom that they had, like the vision, you know? And so it's like that same vibe, that same approach that, you know, that the ancestors had when the Spaniards came, you know, and that's not common knowledge. Like, people think like, oh, it was all, you know, resistance. It was all, you know.
No, we gave them because we knew that the time had come where we were going to no longer exist. Everything was going to be destroyed.
Right.
And we couldn't fathom that. We didn't believe it. We couldn't understand it. And neither did, according to what I understand, is the Cuauhtémoc didn't understand it either. He's like, well, what the fuck? We could take these dudes out.
Take them out.
These fools are not that bad. You know? And he's like, no, because you're going to be in the way of time.
Right.
Time. Mexican thought, Aztec thought is understanding the death and not fighting it.
Right.
But knowing that it's a place of rest and infinite transformation. So when Cuauhtémoc handed the weapons to the Spaniard, he said, I'm accepting my death because I know I'm going to rest, then transform and become again. And you can't control that.
Right.
You can't control. All you have is this lifetime, Hernan Cortez. All you have is this lifetime. All you have is this memory. No abuelo taught you how to surf time, to know that if I die, I'm only going to rest and infinitely transform into something else, which is us.
Right.
Right? The spirit of his humbleness, his humility to death, not because he worshiped it as a god or as a deity, but knew that it was unavoidable. Death is unavoidable for someone who is alive.
Right.
That's why they attached or they compared humans to flowers, because flowers had this amazing beauty, but at one point would wither and die.
Yep. And see, the thing is, it's like, people who kind of have this attachment to life, are always going to be not at peace, because at least and I'm just speaking for my, my evolution, my process, my understanding of how my life has, brought me. It's like, I can't fight, like I choose not to fight, because that just brings anger. That just it brings unnecessary things. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, even like the story you mentioned, like they could have fought, but the abuelos knew like that wasn't going to bring peace.
You're going to be fighting forever.
You're going to be fighting forever. And so, like, when I made that conscious decision of, like, I'm not going to fight, bro. And it's not like I'm joining, and then you go to this other common saying is, like, if you can't beat them, join them. Like, there is no selling out, because nobody knows one's heart, you know what I mean? Where it's like, as we adopt to this new way of living that's coming, it's not that, like, we're forgiving or forgetting our ancestors. It's more so like, I'm just learning how to apply the values in the life that we're living now.
Right. I like, I really respect your faith in Buddhism. That's why I feel like you're very gentle, and I kind of love that Buddhism and being indigenous and following those principles are very alike, but there's 1 degree off or a difference in it, right? Not good or bad, just a difference, a different perspective. Like you have that perspective, and then the indigenous perspective is this. But in indigenous perspective, it's not about fighting. That's one thing I realized, right? I realized that a warrior wasn't someone who was the toughest, meanest, bravest. He was the one that maneuvered the best. That's what made him a warrior. What made him a warrior was that his family never went hungry.
Facts.
His family never was cold, because he maneuvered through whatever terrain he was in to solve the issue.
It's like water.
His family. Yeah.
Takes mold.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's not about fighting, community. It's not about fighting. It's about maneuvering. How do I maneuver here? Because I remember when we used to, back in the 90s, we used to go to these crazy raves, and we didn't have money, but we maneuvered our way in there and got in. I hate to compare it to something of my youth that was, obviously out of control sometimes, but I learned lessons in terms of, because when you maneuver, it's not about aggression. Mm-hmm. It's about calculation. Mm-hmm. It's about moving with it, right? And you maneuver through whatever situation you're in. And I feel like NFTs can create communities that maneuver through these tyrannical changes.
Yep.
These radical changes. These are radical changes. When someone says that we're going to take everything you own and you're going to like it, that's not in your best interest. He's going to bully you into liking it. In other words, like North Korea. Dictatorships. They're afraid to say anything. That's why you're not going to like it, right? So we have to maneuver as a community. And the bigger the community, well, the bigger the maneuver. And the bigger the maneuver, the bigger they notice.
Right. It's like our boy just mentioned the example in Canada of the truck drivers. Like, they're protesting, but now the government is shutting down their whole bank accounts. And so now these truck drivers aren't going to be able to eat. They're not going to be able to pay rent. They're not going to be able to do any of this. And so it's like...
But why are they able to shut down bank accounts? Because it's centralized.
It's a centralized economy.
It's centralized.
Centralized.
If the fucking Fed goes or whatever it's called in Canada,
Prime Minister.
hey, you know what? Fuck them. You're not giving them their money.
Go back to work.
Yeah. Go back to work or you ain't getting shit.
Right. You're not getting the money you worked for.
Yeah.
If you don't go back to work.
But if they were in NFT communities and they had, for instance, the vision would be, oh, yeah, I take that. Yeah, here's your Starbucks.
Right.
Who gives a shit? Like, like El Salvador's like, yeah, you want to rent this beach house? Yeah, we'll take Bitcoin.
Right.
And US dollar.
We'll take that too.
Optional.
We'll take that too.
It's optional.
But,
Bitcoin's cool. We do it. That's all it takes. The community needs to stay strong because that's how they're going to take us. They're going to take us like by going, we're going to take your money. Now we're going to take this and we're going to take and we're going to take until you break. Right? But if we're a community that understands the principles of our great ancestors, and that's a process and a journey in life, but apply what they know, and we apply it to this NFT world, I'm interested to see what kind of community grows and how solid it will be.
Here's another good angle on this whole NFT art digital world where the owner or the creator can also store specific information inside them. For instance, artists could put digital workshops on it or put their signature on it in the metadata. So that's just the creativity behind these NFTs is just not just art, but you could get something on the back end as well. That's crazy, right, Zero?
Wow. It's crazy because, there's for
like,
example,
if there's a certain digital workshop you want to put on a certain NFT, well, you can only read it if you get this NFT.
Yeah.
Right.
And someone's gonna like screenshot it and put it on the internet or whatever, but that doesn't matter because if the content is revolutionary and eye-awakening, it becomes even more rare, right?
And I think that's the goal. It's like, again, going back to that banning books. Like if you put it on this platform, you can't ban it. Mm-hmm. And so it's like if we put the most revolutionary content out there, there's no censorship. Yeah. It's again like going back to the American Constitution. One of the things that one of the rights that we had was like freedom of speech and press. And that's being censorship. Mm-hmm. That's being censored as we speak. Mm-hmm. But if you put it onto if we put it on a different platform, it's a new evolved platform of freedom of speech. It's a new evolved platform of press. So it's like even though they close one door, then the other one opens. Where it's like, especially in this again, re-emphasizing.
Well, the censorship is real.
Right.
The control is real, and it's tightening up, right, Zero?
And it's it's choking those up.
If we're unaware of alternatives and not maneuvering, that's the most important part. Is that you have to figure out a way. If you're excuse me, if you're uninformed about NFTs, cryptocurrencies, or where the dollar is, ask somebody. I'm sure there's somebody in your group a YouTuber, and he fucking knows what every fucking thing that's about it. Ask him, and then you become a think tank and start working it together, and then becoming ideas, because they can't stop creativity, just like they cannot stop love. They cannot stop love. They cannot stop creativity.
It's just a transfer of energy.
Yeah, but it's a powerful energy because it's unbiased.
Exactly.
It's unbiased. Love is love. And the energy, like you said, like this individual who spent so much time building a character, wasting money, wasting time, and someone just pulled the plug on him. He said, I want for my rest of my community, whoever did that, whoever had to go through whatever that was, I'm going to create this platform. And his creativity created an answer, not only for his community, but it created an answer for other communities, because creativity has it's unbiased, just like love. When you love something, it's unbiased. It's all unconditional. True love is.
True.
True love is unconditional. I mean, as much as I hate colonizers, as much as I hate bankers, as much as I hate rapists, I can't say I have to love. I have to learn to love. You know, that would be like the flower going, "Oh, I hate the sun because it's melting me." It can't. It can't hate the sun because the sun gave it its full potential. Now, it's a weird kind of analogy, but I choose not to be in the realm of hate. Right. Because I don't think that emotion it's there, but it's not one that I go to. I rather go to love. Because love has always showed me creativity. Creativity has always gave me answers. And I feel like this NFT world can, at least for this window of time, create some sort of reality, some sort of moment in time where, whoa, remember when those things used to happen?
Right.
This community used to all come together. Now that little group became 4 NFT developers. This little group came and we're all handling inner city problems, right? We're giving away free holistic care, like to everybody in Watts and everybody in East Los Angeles.
Access to food.
Access to plant-based food.
Free. Access to phones and community, like networking.
Yes. Free.
Knowledge. Free. And so I think this is the powerful aspect. It's like, by creating a project where you really are just devaluing everything that people attach value to, because there's the attachment to value that to something that, makes people feel this greed, makes people feel, a superiority complex on people. Like, oh, I have this and you don't. We're up here and you're down there. And so it's like, if there's something that just takes away that value, where it's like, it'll really just, it's almost like when the ancestors didn't value gold the same way the Spaniards did. No, they didn't. You know what I mean? They used it like rocks. You know what I mean? Like it was just a byproduct of something. Like it wasn't a value to it. But then the conquerors came and they're like, man, these guys are
dumb.
Idiot. You know what I mean? This is the most precious shit ever.
Yeah.
And so it's like the same approach. Like we're not valuing these material things, man. We're valuing the essence of the community more than fucking free food or free shoes or access to knowledge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that in itself is revolutionary, because then it has you thinking like
it creates ideas. It creates when you create something and devalue everything in it. Like for instance, a food pop-up, right? And you made all the food in every single booth free for anybody who discovers that pop-up, right? It's like, yeah. But people who are in the NFT world know exactly where it's at, know exactly what time it starts, know exactly what vendor's going to be there. And if you're a rare holder, you can place your order before anybody else. In other words, when you get there, your food's ready. And it's free.
Right.
It's free. Yeah, everything.
Nuts, man.
Free. And then at the end of the night, guess who shows up? Murs. And he does a free concert for everybody there, because the NFT developers paid him his regular fee to go and perform. And we booked him just like a regular act. That's the universe. And it's free to everyone. And then we do creative things like airdrop stuff in certain areas, that we want to exploit. Like, let's say, for instance, like the power of last example is that you can also tie it to statements or issues. I don't want to put it like protest. I don't want to use that word because I don't like that word, but I don't like that action. But you can bring attention to something by going, hey, all NFT holders, let's meet at this street right here because this person is a pedophile and he fucking, everybody's trying to be cool with him or whatever, and we're going to fucking just release an NFT there. Everybody show up there, but you have to be there. And like we flood the fucking whole street with like 15,000 people are there trying to get this free NFT, right?
Right.
So it's kind of, you can.
It's a tool, man.
It's a tool. It's a cool ass tool. I'm glad that we talked about it, and I'm glad that we got, hopefully that we were clear with our audience in terms of the idea, the creativity, do some research. It's time to do it now because, they're taking that dollar away. That dollar's gone.
The dollar's done, man.
Yeah, it's done. It's already, and that's why they're giving so much of it away.
Stop worshiping those men that are on those bills.
Absolutely. It has to go because they were all fucking rapists anyways, and they were all fucking land thieving, just unintelligent people but they served their purpose. And now it's our turn to take responsibilities for our communities, and we can be creative using the platforms that are out there. Whatever they may be, whatever they may be, whether you agree or whether you don't agree. You may say, wow, that was a waste of time of a fucking podcast. I didn't understand one thing about NFTs, But if those that understood that we could create a vision together and we can fund it together and we can build in mechanisms that leave you, if you hold it long enough, give you money.
Right.
Not because other people want it, but because it has value. Because we as a community decided it had value. Just like we decide that $20 bills have value, $100 bills have value.
Most definitely. I mean, I think the power of all this, even just like just the power of it is really, like never before. In my understanding, the power really lies in the decentralization, man. Mm-hmm. And I think I keep repeating it over and over because that's what attracted me. Mm-hmm. As almost, I won't call myself a revolutionary or anything like that, but from studying from that, it's like all the people who came before us fought for decentralizations, decentralized governments, decentralized economies, equality, and now it's here, but in this form. And it's so unknown that it's like, nah, we can't mess with it. Mm-hmm. But the power that it has to be decentralized, to mobilize communities, to generate transfer of wealth for communities, that shit to me is like, that's enough for me to be like, I'm all in. Mm-hmm. Because where else can you have power like that? You know what I mean? As a community. Yeah. And sadly, I mean, the reality we live in is like, you go protest, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. They let Martin Luther King protest. They, they only allow you certain things.
Yeah.
But within the boundaries of the frames, because they know that it's controlled, it's centralized. Mm-hmm. But once that movement goes into another platform where there is no centralized power to it, then that's when they start creating so many confusions. You know what I mean? Like then their propaganda is going to go out and be like, this is, it's too dangerous.
It's unsafe.
It's unstable. It's not safe. Yeah. It's like, and then people, because for years we've been functioning under this program, it's like, nah, we can't do it. Mm-hmm. It's unknown. It's too risky. Mm-hmm. But those that are doing it are like, bro, like, come over.
It's just like how they announced that China's cryptocurrency is doing so good because people are it has 9-point-something million transactions done with it. They're just telling you, please believe in that. Because once you start believing in that, and then people go, well, I'll go buy $10 of that, and I'll go buy, $100 of that, and now I could go to 7-Eleven and buy my donut with this new cryptocurrency because they convinced you that it had value. And I think that's another thing is that not only does you can't box in ideas unless it's coming from one money source. And when people go and spend pounds to buy the NFT, convert them to Ethereum, what it does is it's taking the fiat currency and creating one kind of currency, but using all these different types of currency, right?
Right.
Because you have to use you can use British pounds. I'm sure
you can use the peso. You can use anything.
Yeah, you see. So then you're going, well, yeah, I have to pay fucking 10,000 pesos, but now I own 4 Ethereums, and that Ethereum, the more people get it, it grows in value.
Right.
So now you went in with 5,000 pesos, but now you have fucking 40,000 pesos, quickly, right?
Fast.
But what I'm trying to say is that it's creating it's using other fiat currencies to create a new currency,
Right.
right? But one that the community believes in, which is what currency is. You believe that that's worth money. That's why it's worth money.
And again, it's untaxed. It's just the birth of something that you couldn't prepare for it. You know what I mean? And so that's what I feel like, man. That's real. That's real. Because you can prepare all you want, but again, you can't control the dude's emotions for like creating something like, man, fuck the system. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't stop that creative process and then going, look, I'm presenting it here, and someone from China goes, well, I'll put my yen on it, I'll put my fucking British pound on it, I'll put my US dollar on it, and then it creates, but they're all converting it to one Ethereum, right? Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
Right.
Like it's all, like when you go to a different country, it's like you go to Mexico, it's like $1 worth 20, but they're putting that price,
Right.
You know, the art is leading the price, is what I'm saying. I think.
Definitely.
So I just typed in this article right here. Some of the most expensive NFTs, like this one right here. This one sold for $500,000.
Wow.
Right. This Batman, $500,000.
Wow.
Now, what's a trip? That this little bad boy here, which is kind of like a digital,
like an 8-bit.
flying
It looks like an 8-bit
cat, the rainbow at the end, $500,000.
What?
And this one,
Man, it looks like an oil painting.
$63 million.
What the fuck? That's dope. I like things like that because when you put art in,
well, what kind of perks are you gonna get, Zero? Spending $63 million on an NFT, right?
Well,
some people do it just for flex because every project's different. There's projects that are just art. There's projects that are literally giving people passive income.
Look at this demented NFT right here. 666 with the sheep, double skeleton heads. This one sold for, it's a Beeble. $777,077.
There's some
all
rich,
sevens.
These are rich Satanists. There's a lot out there. There's a whole world out there. That's the beauty, is that it's presented.
But the NFTs
to the community
that you are bringing to the table have no connections to these type of NFTs, right? Because where's the substance in this?
Yeah,
This is just people like to flex. It's like buying a Rolex. It's like
like buying a
buying
Ferrari,
a Lamborghini, or buying a house in Beverly Hills. It's really just, people are valuing their digital lives a lot more than their real life. So that's why now they're transferring all their wealth into digital assets so that they can flex it wherever they go. And so, I think the most expensive one just sold like 3 days ago. It was like $26 million. And people, and the person who bought it bought it at 52 cents when it started.
Wow.
And now somebody sold it for $26 million.
But when they first put them out,
It was 52 cents.
It was 52 cents. Damn.
Yeah. And so, again.
Well, the NFT that I was talking about, Armando, is attaching the creativity to the value. In other words, the value is the creativity.
Based on the community and the support around it.
Absolutely.
Community.
Because we know what communities those NFTs are a part of.
Right.
Just the rich, not an elite community.
Right. And look, money, dude, you don't think some rich motherfuckers in the Hamptons went, hey, you know what, dude, this NFT's popping off. Let's hire this artist. Hey, Fred, whatever's. Hey, you guys on board? You guys got what? You guys got a couple mil? Yeah, I got a couple mil. All right, cool. We're gonna fucking blow up this NFT right here.
Right. That's it.
And then boom.
It blew up.
Now you got some rich Arab dude in Dubai going, oh shit. Oh fuck. The Hampton dudes. Oh, I want to buy it.
Fear of missing out, FOMO.
Right.
There it is.
But see, the power goes back.
That's one example. Now, we're gonna take the Banksy and like a Banksy and make it into an NFT where it benefits the community, right? And we can gather, I believe that we could gather enough community that it adds, that the community will determine the value, And yes, there's going to be some stockbrokers in there. There's going to be some guys that are just hip and they want to be in the hip, cool crowd and they want to own some stuff. And they're like, yeah, look, oh, you want them? Yeah, fuck it. I don't care. Here.
Take it.
Take it. And that's where value comes in, because I think of it like this.
Because you need those people too.
Think of it like this. Staples Center. Staples Center goes, the Lakers are playing whatever, Orlando Magic. Tickets are going on sale Tuesday for the regular price, right? 32, $100. And then you don't think scalpers are going to go, hey, I'm going to go fucking buy like 10 of them. I got fucking $4,000. I'm going to buy 10 of them. I'm going to buy whatever. Whatever I could buy for $4,000, that's what I'm going to buy. Because I'm going to sell them the day of the show for $1,000 each.
And they'll sell them.
And that's what's going to happen in our world too. We need those people to bring value to it in terms of the rarity of it, the scarcity of it. But the people that believe in it will benefit
The most.
the most. And the Genesis project is the one most important of it all. It's the first one. It's the ticket, right? And our roadmap is being think tanked right now. And it's going to benefit the community. We're not going to release any names. We're not going to do any of that yet. But yeah, the NFT world is coming to LA natives, and it's going to be, I believe, probably a strong one, because it's going to benefit the community. We are that creative where we can flip the idea into our creativity benefiting the people that support it.
It's the refining process.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for us to launch our events, because there's going to be some incentives on going to the events to potentially win a share or an actual NFT created by this group here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facts.
The development. You know, we have to use our creativity to fight stupidity, right? That's greed. Greed cannot sustain itself, because eventually it's going to start showing its cracks and showing its reality. And I believe that's the time we're in right now. White supremacy is falling. The bankers, the centralized banks, they're falling, and they have no idea what to do. They're grasping at straws. They're grasping at the air, because creativity is overtaking them. Before, creativity was centralized through a magazine, through a TV, through some sort of that kind of a network, so you had to know somebody to get it. But phones changed that. Anybody who can afford a cell phone can start trading on these NFTs.
Right.
Anybody. It could be some poor ass kid in Mexico.
This shit makes you like this literally can change people's life.
Yeah.
For better or for good. Like, you know.
It's a communication mechanism that alerts everyone what value is. And I think that's the world that we're trying to create to counterculture this infinite, you know, when Pope Nicholas II said that our children will be perpetual slaveries, that means forever. That means there'll never be a point in time where they go, well, let's stop fucking with these guys now. They could be rich, you know? But then comes creativity, and then creativity just makes you rich. But even more so, the community. The community can make you rich. And I believe that's the way the ancestors used to walk on this planet, is that the community made us rich and wealthy. Everyone agreed that the temples needed to go up. Everyone agreed that the schools needed to be built. Everyone agreed that we needed to create aqueducts or whatever water sources to sustain these communities. That same mentality and spirit can live within the NFT world if we support it, if we believe in the visionaries behind it. And I love the fact that it's transparent. You know what I mean? Like, you see everything. People are going to, yeah, because
It's a digital ledger.
Yes.
That's tracked as it moves.
Yeah.
So you see the full history
Of where it came from.
where it came from, the value of it. But, you know, ultimately, it's way better than the stock market, guys.
Well, because
And see,
it's
the
attached to creativity. You're
also,
you're
you know,
attaching like, well, how creative is Jeff Bezos going to be this year? You know, it's like
Right.
that motherfucker ain't going to be creative at
But
all.
see, like the thing with stock market is you only got certain people in this table talking about it.
Yeah.
Making that decision. Like, bro, go open this bank, go do this here. Let's put this here. Let's make this deal with this person. And then, okay, now they shift around the chess pieces and then boom. But like in this community, it's the opposite, man. It's like a nerd or whoever can literally see, like, nah, man, they're not even saying what they're doing. Everybody has an eye on you, and that it's like we're policing ourselves in that way, and that's another reason. It's like the checks and balances. Of course, you have people who are gonna scam. You have people who are gonna do the shady stuff and don't care. But the fact that access to transparency is there, it's just revolutionary.
And it's also a creative component that includes the community that it's in, because almost all the NFTs that we've discussed for the past, few months has some sort of benefit.
Right.
There's a benefit attached to it, right?
It has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if the $64 million NFT, that just sounds like a bunch of rich
But
guys.
ultimately, I would think the more NFTs are out there, the more metadata is out there, which consumes more storage, which essentially consumes and has to be stored in more servers, which essentially creates more power consumption. There's always something behind it, right, guys?
Always. It's like one of the things they say is like cryptocurrency takes too much energy, you know what I mean? And so, you have environmental activists against it, but the same thing can be said about the dollar. The dollar creates so much war, but where are the environmentalists talking about war? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like the dollar, and so it's like you got to pick and choose what you really, it's like we live in the system where it's the same coin, just different sides, and so it's like nothing is kosher anymore. We're all,
but
we're
if you're trying to say like fucking, the energy crisis of the fucking servers or whatever, dude, the minute they released TV, that became an energy crisis. The minute everybody wanted, oh fuck, I want a TV, and then the fucking antique of a power plant, I mean, it started pulling in the juice. No one really fucking cared about that shit. Anytime a new technology gets released, it's gonna create some sort of a surge, some sort of a thing. That's where we rely on creativity, because people could go like, dude, I could create a solar power thing that, look at we're gonna put all these servers on that shit,
on the solar power,
and you cannot. That's where elites have a hard time, is that they cannot they cannot control creativity. They can only manipulate it.
They can't monetize it.
Yeah. Well, they can monetize it. Like, it's like artists.
They
right?
always figure out a way to make money off of something.
They go, oh shit, that guy could sing really good. Let me put some money, because I know I'm gonna make fucking quadruple the money. Right? I'm making 5,000 times more than what my initial investment is in this talented individual. Right? They can manipulate creativity, but they cannot control it, because if they piss that individual off, he's going to go and rat, and he's going to tell the world everything. He's like, yeah, man, they used to fucking make me do this and that and the other. Right? And that's how the secrets of Hollywood get out, and the secret, these secret elite parties and all this bullshit that happens in the underworld in the underbelly of the music industry. Right? But in the NFT world, you can become the record label shareholders. Right? Or in the art world, or whatever the vision is, you, the community, can control the outcome. And if you go, hey, you know what? Fuck that guy. Do you guys all agree with me? Boom, to zero.
That's it, to zero. It happens all the time.
To zero.
One wrong tweet.
But if
you tweet something out, and your multi-million-dollar company just takes a shit. Yeah. Or you associated yourself.
You know what? It's creating, I think, Zero, especially if someone like yourself as a musician, I'm sure you do have the appetite to potentially release maybe future projects outside of your typical Spotify, iTunes, where they're gonna make money regardless on the situation. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you do have that appetite of like, look, I might release my new project on a digital form.
Well, I might do this. I might,
because might as well, right?
Like there was one powerful move. You know, I'm a musician. Like I study all music, and I thought it was crazy that Tool decided not to put their shit on iTunes. I was like, what the fuck? Tool's not Tool? Like, yeah, they don't put their shit on iTunes. They don't put their shit on any digital platform. You want to buy a Tool album? You have to go to their concert and buy the Tool album. Well, now you can go, well, Tool doesn't have to do that no more. Tool goes, I only release my shit on NFTs. That's it. That's the only place you can get it. Is this NFT.
That's it.
Snoop Dogg just announced today that he's going to turn Death Row Records into the first NFT record label. And that's for him to do that so quickly after acquiring Death Row, you know, after all the controversy. That's a good step to the right direction, I would think.
You know, Snoop Dogg has a good team around him, and they're always in the know. They're always in the what's the next, you know. And he's crossed all.
He's seen the whole music industry. He's probably
he's
sick
done
and tired of
some with a
milked.
banda. Like when Snoop Dogg starts rapping with a banda. I mean, he has a team. You know, that team is going, hey, you know what? These fucking bandas are dope. You know, fucking, it's, you know.
You know what's crazy? You know, there was an interview I saw not too long ago, and he was saying all that classic Snoop Dogg stuff that everyone grew up listening to, he doesn't make any money off of it. It's always someone else making money off of it.
That's great. Yeah, because he had signed shitty contracts. He signed shitty contracts, and obviously, you know, those sharks in the industry, they'll take you for everything, and they'll make you forever. Like, you'll be 90 before you get your first royalty
He was
check.
saying something about back in the early days, he was just making money off of show money. He wasn't making money at anything out of records.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Because
but if
know,
you tie it to an NFT, he can never say that.
and this is why I think it's a good thing that he's going to take the new Death Row. Well, it's essentially the original Death Row.
You
To
know,
an
that
exclusive
cost him
NFT, that's a brilliant idea, right, Zero?
It depends if he builds a community around it and what the benefit of the community is.
Exactly. He has
you
to
know,
build.
and that's also kind of sketchy because it's still probably going to be owned by either Interscope or Universal. You know, and
Yeah,
so
they're not
now-
giving away their royalties.
They're not
gonna
giving away the.
They're not giving the rights to Tupac away. They're not giving that name Tupac. You better believe the fucking Interscope has some fucking deal with that. You know. It's all like I said, Snoop Dogg has a good team. So all Snoop Dogg is hey, go say this, and somebody wrote it for him. Oh,
in order to be in that position, he had to do something. Yeah,
especially with those particular artists. Those artists, you know, pretty much signed their contract in blood.
Right.
You know, those guys are for lifers,
Rituals.
forever gonna be, you know, exploited.
It happens in the hood. If you're a gang member, you go do rituals.
Yeah.
Same thing for, you know, $1 million gangs.
Yeah. But when you tie a community of NFTs, it would be like, it's just whatever community you create. Now that could flop like a motherfucker, that whole Death Row shit, if he's greedy about it, or if they don't allow him to use certain photos or use certain songs because Interscope still has interest in those artists. I mean, that's going to be the challenge that he faces, or it's already predestined. It's already pre-released.
The stigma behind Death Row is kind of negative, right? Like, you know, who really wants to be signed to a label like that with the stigma behind it?
I mean, going to jail is not cool, and they cannot convince kids that that's cool anymore. Like, I don't know how they did it with us, but I mean, going to jail is not cool. So you're not gonna fucking re-release songs about, hey, well, fuck, let's go sell drugs on the corner and go to jail. You know, that's not gonna fly with the new youth. The new youth has phones. They grew up with these phones that have information that, dude, when we were growing up watching TV, we only had a few channels. And that's it. And whatever was on that channel, you fucking learned or got to see.
We were propagandized like a motherfucker.
Right. But now that phone, what, you want to look up what? Okay, cool. Let's look it up. Google it or whatever, you know, whatever search engine you use. let's find out. Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Right.
And like in seconds. It's like that.
Zero. I had no appetite whatsoever to watch the Super Bowl. I think it's a goddamn circus. It's a huge distraction. And God forbid, guys, do not fall into that predatorial trap, right, Zero?
Wow. That event, it just always baffles me, like how it became so popular to the point where like everything shuts down. Like if it's fucking Christmas or some shit, it's weird.
It's weird, man.
And then here's the tough part about it. Let's compare it to the NFT topic that we have, right? Those guys feel like they own an NFT of the Rams, right? Because they go, we won. We did it. Like if they fucking took the fucking, they were fucking running down the fucking, 50-yard line. Like if they did it.
Spending
we did
thousands of dollars.
Woo!
Right. For just a rush.
We did it.
For some adrenaline.
And then they go, well, fuck. But before you start yelling, I want to wear this jersey. Yeah, well, you got to pay me $150 for that.
No, those jerseys are $500.
Or $500.
Oh, dang.
See, $500. Okay. Now, let's flip it to an NFT. Now, if the Rams are an NFT and they were a dope ownership development, that jersey that dude is wearing
Was a free drop.
was a free drop he got.
Or half off or whatever.
Let's just give it away because we're good developers. And now is worth $5,000 that he could sell if he wants or not.
Right.
That's the world that we want to live in.
And see, I think NFTs also bring the community ownership, of something that they're not like. When I started, I had no concept of anything in technology, but although I did stock market and stuff like that, like I never felt ownership. I just felt like, damn, I'm just fucking putting money aside. But when I got into NFTs, you automatically get an ownership role. Like, of course, there's maybe 10,000 people, 7,000 people, 5,000 people, but there's an ownership. Like, you can literally, like, if a project knocks, they legit projects will give you the intellectual property. Like, what multi-billion-dollar company will give you free intellectual property to their project?
Or share
shares.
Share intellectual property. Because Nike doesn't give out the plans for their shoes.
But NFTs do.
Yeah.
And so that's in itself, it's like you have a multi-million-dollar company that's giving the holders a free intellectual property that you can use to market yourself, to use to everything. Nike doesn't do that. Walmart does.
No.
That concept itself is also powerful because if that project succeeds and you were part of that project, now you can use that project to market your product, market your business, market your label, market everything because you're owning the intellectual property. And all you had to do was just put an initial investment. But like the most popular ones right now, it's like, it's like the monkeys, the apes. And you have all these rappers. But now these rappers own the intellectual property to that. But the foundation that it was laid on, like it's already a global brand worth more than Reebok.
Whoa.
And so it's like, now if you imagine owning intellectual property of Reebok. It's you won't. But now those holders do have the intellectual property ownership.
Like they can print shirts of it.
They can print shirts and not get sued. You know what I mean? Like they can print shirts of whatever and make $1 million or make $1,000 or whatever, and you don't have to worry about somebody coming and putting a cease order.
And if it's outstandingly popular, you're making money. That's my point. That's the revolution that we want to enter with this NFT world. Is how can we make our community wealthy, and hoping that community will respond by sharing the wealth with others.
Right. And we don't have the mentality. You definitely don't have the mentality. How can I get wealthy?
Right.
No, my wealth is not based upon financial shit. It's not. My wealth is based upon how dope I could write this song. Did I get the message that I pulled from the deepest part of the stars? That's my wealth. If I live in a fancy house, that's a product of that. It's not to do it. It's not to be rich.
Elon Musk.
I don't understand that kind of wealth. That wealth is not wealth. That wealth is greed. That wealth is lies, deception, manipulation. That's that kind of wealth. I don't want to be that wealth.
Jeff Bezos.
I want to be. Right. I want to be like. I want to be like, wow, his album bought my house, and I hated to let it go because I really loved that artist. But man, I get to live in that house.
Right
now, the original.
Now my family was living with my mother-in-law, and I sold this NFT here, and I bought a house. Or I put a down payment on a house.
Like the original owner of Apple was who?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, right? Yeah. He, from what I know, he had a reputation of like not caring about the money, not being rich. Like he had a big mansion, but he had like a couch. It just wasn't, like you said, it was just a byproduct of what came after. Yeah. Because of the people that were behind the greed behind it. That's why I think he went insane.
Yeah.
He just, it was just a byproduct of what he created.
Right.
The modern day NFT.
Right.
Steve Jobs.
There you go. It's people believed in Apple because it had a fancy logo, and all of a sudden they were better than IBM's and Microsoft. And so people went on, they had a nice little commercial, and they got the hottest band to be in that commercial. And that's what people meant. Fuck, that's cool. They're worth fucking $2,000. Right. And they really weren't. They were not faster than, you could build a PC and make that shit super fast, way faster than an Apple. And parts are a lot easier to get, and you can build it.
But remember, Apple was completely going downhill based on their PCs. It was when they struck platinum when they released the first iPhone.
Yeah.
The iPod, huh?
Yeah. Well, Steve Jobs went, wow, I went from this desktop computer and laptop to the computer being on your hand. That right there is a game changer, But they didn't see the repercussion of handing everybody a computer in their hand. They didn't see the repercussion. What, you don't think the person in India who's super poor going, hey, fuck, man, I'm going to do some shit on this.
Right.
Look, I can fucking do some shit on this. Like, you don't think that the Mexican guy in the deepest part of Mexico, fucking poor as fuck, going, oh, shit, I can fucking create. Look what I'm doing.
Well, right here, there's a comment. The original Nikola Tesla, if he was alive today, he would want free energy for the entire world.
And that's what he worked for. That's why all his journals got taken by,
That's the mentality that creators need to have, because he's a creator. An inventor. It was
decentralized energy,
right? He's an inventor. He's not inventing to be rich. He's an inventor that continuously invents, and he's just inventing and creating and creating. There's no the guy
that's
behind
a perfect
him.
example, because you can use it back to NFTs. Nikola Tesla was you can say an NFT. And Edison wasn't, Thomas Edison.
Yeah, because he wanted hard wires. He already had the bulb ready to market and sell. And then Nikola Tesla's like, but we don't need that shit. Right. I just invented something better. Right. He's like, what the fuck? No, not everybody can have energy. You have to pay for that shit.
Right.
So they centralized the energy.
Centralized energy.
And Nikola Tesla wanted to decentralize the energy. He wanted to give energy to everyone who can afford to build the tower or whatever it took to harness that atmosphere,
Look, we definitely have to bring you back, bro. We're gonna have to update our audience on the next chapter of this project, this NFT LA Natives, Los Aztlan Natives podcast project here.
Yeah, it's definitely in the works.
It's definitely in the works.
And we have a cool name for it. We have a cool theme. We have a cool roadmap for it. The benefits are going to benefit the community and the shareholders, because they're the most important things. We trust that you give us the power to make that decision on how it benefits you. But know that the developers in this world, we're trying to fuck the system. We can create our own system.
Right.
Using our creativity, using our community to be one community that believes in all the things that we will inform you about, and you make the decision whether you believe it or not. We're not here trying to control you with our information, going and indoctrinate you to anything. We just want you to be a part of this community because this community benefits each other. The great wisdom of our elders said, take care of each other. Right? When Cuauhtemoc went to hand the weapons to the Spaniard, he turned around and said, take care of each other, because that's how we're going to grow again. Right? If we take care of each other, one day that seed's going to come out and we're going to be one people again. And we're going to go back to our wisdoms again. And I believe that if we harness that energy, harness that intention, and focus in together to know that there is no oppressor. The oppressor is our misinformation. The oppressor is us unwilling to work together and be one community that takes care of each other. So thanks for coming on, Relio.
Oh, thank you.
As we develop this new NFT and we share it with our community, man, we thank you so much for joining in and listening to us and commenting, man. It looked like the chat was on fire.
Chat was on fire. Please hit the like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. Shout out to all of our loyal Twitch viewers as well.
Oh, bro.
We see you guys.
Nice.
Much.
We go live on Twitch too?
Yes.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And we still have, those
Through
dedicated
YouTube,
Twitch.
we're still on the YouTube.
We're on YouTube and Twitch. We're not.
Sweet.
We're never gonna let it
now
go.
we can offer some crazy shit for the NFT,
Right.
for the people that are on Twitch. Those Twitch, that's the first key you have to turn to our
And
NFT
guys, I want to
world.
thank all of our Spotify and Apple podcast listeners. We love you guys to death. You guys are holding us down, keeping those listens consistent. And that being said, any final words, Zero?
Yes. I want to thank all the community that has been supporting Malinali Superfoods, the storefront. And we'll be having a very special Saturday, this Saturday. Teso Somo, the person that was on our podcast a few weeks ago, is going to do a workshop on Nahuatl language using songs. So we're going to learn some songs, learn the names, learn the meanings of the words, and that will be our introduction to understanding our original ancient language of Nahuatl. So all those that have come to Malinali Superfoods and has supported our cause, all the business owners that have helped us, I just want to say thank you. Shout outs to Armando for helping me all the time, for revamping my career, and most of all to the LA Natives community, because we really feel your energy, man. We feel that you believe in what we're saying and what our cause is. So keep tuning in. And as we develop this NFT, keep a lookout, because it's going to come with some really good, amazing perks. And then to all my LA natives, I love you, man. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Peace.